I'm Jay, welcome to the workshop, and today we're going to be installing one of these Defender dash consoles. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know that I don't actually own a Land Rover Defender, but a friend of mine contacted me and asked me if I could give him a hand installing some extra switches and outlets in his Land Rover he's recently bought. So we had a quick look online to see what was out there, and this came up. This is basically a center console replacement for one of the older style Defenders. I don't know too much about them, so someone might correct me, but the older style ones, I think before the TD5s, didn't actually have a center console type thing. So he wanted to have some switches, some outlets. So this is basically installs and gives you the ability to put basically whatever you want in here. There's lots of pictures online of people putting gauges and CB radios and stuff, but for this install we're going to be installing a doubled in Android head unit that he's picked up, some USB and normal cigarette outlets, and then we've got a range of calling switches. I always use calling switches. I recommend them to him and he was like, yeah, go for it. So we're going to be putting a bank of calling switches in here as well. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to measure up and we're going to start cutting some holes to install all this hardware. First of all, we're going to put these calling interlocks together. You can fit 7, I believe, into this dash console, and this will give us the measurement we need for the cutout. Next, we're going to take our doubled in cage, and so we can get some measurements of that as well. We're also going to check out the outlets to make sure we get the correct size. Next, we're going to apply some masking tape. This will aid measuring and marking out, as well as protect surfaces we don't want to damage. We next measure our components to get the cutout sizes. This needs to be pretty accurate, so it fits quite snugly into the panel. Too big and components will rattle around inside, so take some time at this point to get the correct measurement. What I did here, I just split the cutouts in half, so I had some kind of baseline to go off of, and then I marked the width and height of the individual components from that center line. Once all marked out, you can start cutting. Now, I used an angle grinder here. However, you can cut it in other ways. Dremels, jigsaws, will all do the same job. I'm just more comfortable with an angle grinder, and is what I had at hand. You may need to drill some holes in the corners just so you can get cut all the way through without risking nicking the other side. Once you've done that, a nice little push should snap the center out of your cutout. I had a little bit left over from the cutout, so I just went around with a file, smoothed everything out, got all the lines nice and straight before starting to try and fit the components. This may take a couple of attempts, but if you just keep at it with the file, you'll eventually get there. Next was the holes for the outlets. I believe these were 20mm. They're just taken out of a normal hole saw once I've found the centre of the cutout hole. Now all the cutouts are made, we can start assembling. First of all, I put the Carling switch gang mount in, which simply snaps into place. There's little barbs in there which pop in and stop it from being pulled back out again. Next were the 20mm outlets. These just drop in and a nut fastens in from the back. Once I've got that in place, I can start installing Carling switches. Now these again just push in and little barbs stop them from being pulled back out again. I recommend getting the special tool if you're going to be using Carling switches that they supply on their website to aid removing them if you need to. Great thing about Carling switches is that the rocker covers pop on and off of the switch bodies, meaning you can update your style at a later date, or you can swap out these laser etched ones which are custom designed to match the piece of equipment. And at the end I just installed the two switch blanks into the two ports that aren't being used, just to round out the look. Next was install it in the Land Rover. We've already removed all the dashboard pieces we need to. So the first job is to find a centre mark in the dash to go off of, and then measure the width of the dash console so we can centralise it and find out where it's exactly going to go. Once we're happy with placement, we can mark along the sides on the bottom piece of the dashboard. And then we need to come in 20mm. This is going to be our cut line. Using a somewhat crude straight edge, which is all we had to hand, we're going to join our two marks up to make our cut line. Then using the same straight edge, we're going to mark across the bottom of the existing holes. Get as close to the holes as you can because you don't want to be cutting into the double skin at the bottom. And this is where the fun starts. The angle grinder will come out at this point and just cut down your cut lines. We've used a couple of tiles here just to protect the wiring behind, but be mindful where the sparks will be going and protect things accordingly. It's worth taking your time with this bit, because if you slip and cut into the dashboard, then you'll risk causing permanent damage. I had to finish this little piece off with a hacksaw just because my grinder couldn't get in there, but eventually it will work free. At this point you want to deburr and make sure there's no sharp edges. I normally use a file for this. Once that is done, we just quickly test fit to see if everything's lined up the way that we thought to. Next up, it's going to be the first plate we need to fix. This needs to be centralized basically where you want the dashboard to be, and then the two holes in the bottom marked and drilled. I believe the drill size was 2.5, but I'd have to double check that. It's basically for the small self tappers that are included in the kit. At this point you want to get your side L-shaped pieces out of the kit and line them up with the holes that you've just drilled. Then place your back plate over the top of the two side plates and install the self-tapping screw into the hole that you drilled. Once this is done, you can drill the remaining two holes in the top of the back plate and screw in the self-tappers. The two remaining holes just go through the plastic grill, so you don't need to pre-drill, you just need to force them through. This will bind the back plate and the side plates together as well. Now take the center dash console again, and what you need to do is you need to line up the console so that one side of the bracket is on the outer edge. This is so you can mark through to get the holes to drill on the side of the dash console. You need to do this for both sides. Once you've marked your holes, these need now to be drilled out to a 3.5mm clearance bit. This is because there's little clips which install on the side brackets which your self-tapper screws into. So once you've installed all 4 clips, you can now replace the center console and screw in through the side. There are 2 last holes you need to drill up underneath into the dash. However, we lost one screw, so we just put one in the centre. This seems adequate enough, but the instructions do call for 2. Once you've installed the self-tapper, that's it. The dashboard is now in place and complete. So this was a fun little project, something a little bit different. And if you'd like to order one of these consoles for yourself, you can get them from Mudstuff UK.